The regional challenge that we have introduced this year on TTQ is basically from requests that we've had from fans across the country. They said, why is TTQ only staged in Mosby, and why is it not coming out to the other centers? And since we started broadcasting or telecasting our show on Kundu since 2012, fans across the country, from the New Guinea Islands, from the Highlands region, from Momasa region, from Southern region, they want to be part of it. And that urge has always come through, and they've texted us, they call us up sometimes when they see our numbers on the screen, and they said, why not you take the show out? So the regional challenge is a concept that we've developed this year to give every Papua New Guinean a chance to participate, both school kids, school students from primary, secondary, tertiary, to the open category, the adults as well. So it's a concept that we thought, it would be good to get national participation than only based in Mosby. So we started with the Highlands region first, and we've staged the show in Goroka, which is the current show that we just had. We will be going to Medang for the Momasa region challenge, and then over to Rabaul for the New Guinea Islands, and hopefully finish off in Alatau for the Southern region. So our first regional challenge was held in Goroka. And what happened is we had schools coming as far as Enga, Western Highlands, Simbu, and Eastern Highlands province. Unfortunately, we didn't have any participation from Hela, Southern Highlands, and Jiwaka. But at least we had 4 provinces who participated. That gave us the required numbers that we want to call it as a Highlands Regional Challenge. So from Enga, we had a couple of schools that came down. We had a primary school from Wapanamanda called Lamanda Manda Primary School that came down, and then we had Wabek Primary School that came in and participated, and then we had Koppen Secondary and Wabek Secondary School, plus from the tertiary sector we had IBS Enga and Enga Teachers College students that also came down as well. So they came in 2 truckloads that brought them down to Goroka for this challenge. From Western Highlands we had Kimininga Primary School, we had Hagen Park Secondary School, and we also have students from Paglum Secondary School that came down as well. And in Simbu we had Pernokwa Primary School, we have Gon Kambua Primary School, and then we have the 2 secondary schools in Rosari, Kondu Secondary School and Karawagi Secondary School. And then for the tertiary sector, we have Simbu Teachers College as well as Simbu Technical College. And back in Eastern Highlands, the host province, we have West Goroka Primary School, we have Goroka Grammar School for the primary, and the secondary we have a couple of secondary schools. Kabiufa, we've got Bena Secondary School, and then we have Goroka Secondary School who participated. And then for the tertiary, we have UOG, who represented Eastern Highlands. So those are the schools that participated in our first regional challenge in Goroka.
So give them a hand.
The quiz shows are not, this kind of thing is not new in Papua New Guinea. In fact, in the 70s and 80s, the quiz shows traveled across the region, across the country. And quiz shows were broadcast on the National Broadcasting Service by radio at that time, because we had no television. And so they were brought out to schools, and schools were invited to participate and compete against each other. And then as they competed, they were recorded and flown back to Port Moresby and then broadcast on the airwaves for the country to listen into. So in that sense, John Kama and the idea of having a quiz show is really following the footsteps of what was set out early, long before. But it's a good thing, and it's a good thing for our young people to participate, to think on their feet, to be able to appear on television. Most of the time, all our television is about outsiders programs. We don't see Papua New Guineans on the screens except during the news and information and entertainment.
The show in Goroka was very exciting. We left Mosby on a Thursday with a crew, and then on that Friday morning, we've had the opening ceremony. And this is the first time that we've never done anything like this in Mosby. We thought we would open this special occasion with an opening ceremony. So we invited a few guests from Goroka to UOG for the opening ceremony. And it was very special. We've had the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Michael Mell, who was one of our guests as well. He was present there to receive all our other guests. And he was the one that gave the opening address. And among the other guests, we've had the manager for NBC Goroka. We've had Agnes Ikibu. She was there as well. And we've also had a lawyer in town who, she's been very successful. So we thought she could role model and talk to the kids. We've had Roslyn Cott, who represented Evros and Cott lawyers. Then we've also had one other official from the education department who also turned up as well. And then we've had Eddie Appa, one of the representatives from the governor's office. He's the executive officer of the governor of Goroka or Eastern Highlands, Honorable Julie Soso. And then we've also had a representative from the education sector from the Highlands. She's Mrs. Tare, the principal of Wabek Secondary School. She traveled down with a group, so we also gave her a chance to say something on behalf of teachers and education in the Highlands. So yeah, those were some of the important guests that we've had on the day who officiated the opening ceremony. And we've had the brass band from Goroka. We've had the famous Goroka madmen that came and welcomed the guests into the Mark Solon Auditorium. So it was a small program, but it gives a significance to the actual program in terms of the ceremony that was held on that morning. And a lot of the speeches, a lot of the guests who came and spoke at the opening ceremony, they all spoke highly of TTQ. They felt that it's an educational television program that impacts a lot of the students as well as the public, during the time of airing when they're watching the content, especially. It's very educational. It's good for them mentally and so forth. So they think it's a good concept that needs to stay around for a long time and needs to be supported by business houses, by sponsors, by government departments and so forth to continue. And one comment that stands out was that it's a homegrown concept that many times they've watched foreign quiz shows like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or Deal or No Deal from Australia and so forth. And this is the first time that we've had our own shows. So we should try to grow this show and make it to stay here for a long time for the good of education of our kids in the country and so forth. So that was something that I thought it was a good effective.
But things like this don't happen. We've watched Sale of the Century, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, all these other programs, but all of them devised from outside. It's high time we developed our content. And this is an adventure into that kind of thinking. So we thank John and Kundu too, and everyone that's got behind this to develop our own content and to really appreciate what we can do. And particularly in this case, what our young people can do. So, ladies and gentlemen and children, I extend a very, very warm welcome to you all, and especially to our governor who is here, and this show, this inaugural show in the Highlands, because most of the other shows are recorded in Port Moresby, and it's only in NCD where the schools participate. For the first time, the show has actually flown out of Port Moresby to record schools in the regions. And the Highlands region happens to be the first one. And Goroka, in Eastern Highlands, of course, happens to be the place where everybody's coming to. And because of this facility and many other things,